Namaste, namaste everyone. Very warm welcome to Satsang today. The Guru Sri Mujiji ki Jai. It feels like it's been some time since There's been a few days. It's been a few days.
When was the last satsang?
Maybe it's become a habit here also. So I was on the way to the office for a bit, and then some words started coming. Maybe it was satsang time, so some words started coming from here. So then I said, okay, I'm going to send this on Facebook. I enjoyed what came up quite a bit actually. Sometimes written is also good because when we give it that time to flow, then it seems like even more clarity seems to emerge. I don't know what all of you found, but I felt like it captured most of what we speak of in Satsang, straightforward way. I'm happy to see all of you. It's like I had a summer break or something. Only been 4 days. But this little bit we can see for ourselves. This little bit of mechanics of how we attach a something to pure consciousness. The label, the identity, the persona of this something, I am something. And then it seems like everything operates from that something. I want this, I don't want this. All our likes and dislikes, all our attachments and aversions, they come from this sort of position. But is it possible to go straight to the heart of the matter, literally, and look at it and say, why am I something? Am I really something? Do I have to pick up this identity for anything? And if you trust, if you have seen the working of this world, you will find that all of the mind's reasoning for why you have to actually pick up this something, not just as a role, but actually pose as if you are somebody. All of the mind's reasoning starts to feel fraudulent, just made up. God can run this life. God has been running this life. God is running this life. Only God is. I used to say earlier that it's funny that God pretending to be a person, then wanting to become God is the dilemma of a lot of spirituality, especially many times in Advaita, when it's learned that I am God, I am consciousness, the only God, then from that lens of the pretense itself, you want to get that supreme. And then the mind has a version of what this supreme would mean. I must always feel like this. I must think only these certain type of thoughts. All the experiences in my life, it should only be a certain way. All from the lens of personhood, wanting to be something special, wanting to be God, then projecting that desire into our life. But if you drop that lens, if you drop that mask, if you drop that something, what is that? And the good news even further is that even this you don't have to drop. It is dropped. You have pre-dropped it in this moment. Empty of that. Empty of any condition. Is the truth of who you are not apparent to you? Always has been apparent. It is the condition. It is a notion of something. They seem to have clouded our definition of who we are. With me? Following me. Just because our habit is to pick up that lens first, to pick up the mask first, even then when we come to satsang, we feel like, okay, I've come here as a spiritual seeker. How will you make a finder out of me? Or how can I make a finder out of myself? That is why I like the terms I've been using, not applicable. Both the seeker and the finder you can never be. Both are pretense. You just come to that dropping of this I am something idea. Everything is here. It is apparent. But it is not conceptual. You might not even have the best words to describe what you're experiencing, and that is perfect. It is beautiful, in fact. Empty of that notion of something. If you don't have the words to communicate what is apparent, there is no trouble with that. In fact, don't rush to pick up the words. Audio, how is it for most of you? Is the audio okay for most of you? Maybe I put this a little closer. Reduce the fan a bit. I've been saying for many years that there will come a day where the broadcast will be right. I don't know when that day will be. Right. Audio, video, no trouble. Maybe I'm also speaking a bit softly because the energy here has not been so high. Let me see which mic is a good point. No, it's the right one. It's the right one. As long as it's mostly audible, I'm okay with that for today. So this is the most important point. Whatever that something might be, it does not compare to the reality of what you are already before that something. And now you're starting to see, isn't it, how actually inquiry and surrender are the same. It is just this recognition that that something is false. The idea I am something is false. And you can see everything, the tricks of the mind, what offers it makes to you, the offers of meaning, individual meaning about something, the offer about whether you have got it or not got it. Thank you. Thank you, my dear. Yes, thank you so much for your care. Murad and Anna saying that I don't really have to speak. Anil is also saying I don't have to speak. I can just be with you in presence. Please don't strain. Okay, my dear. The minute I feel it's a strain, I'll stop. Promise. So the point of all of this spirituality, surrender, self-inquiry, everything that you see, you can now relate back to this. How does this aid, in a way, aid us in not picking up this something notion about ourselves? Whether it is the Buddhists who are saying, just be with the content of the present moment. So if you're walking, stay with the sensation of walking, or just simply breathing, just stay with your breathing. In that, there is no space to attach notion to yourself. All the sages have said, chant this mantra. I'll give you a special mantra, energized with all my spiritual power. Chant this. And then what happens? Notions are coming, but they are neglected. The mantra takes precedence, meaning, and you remain empty of identity. Everything is about coming to this empty of conceptual notions, place or state. It's neither a place nor a state, but we have to use some words. What to do. So don't play with the spiritual mask too much. It's okay. It's done, like Guruji says, it's done its job. It's got you here. Now, beyond that, better to drop all notions, especially notions about where you have to get to or what should happen or what you want. Because that is again looking through the lens of personality, the mask of personhood. If you could meet God right now, and the only price you would have to pay is your next thought, is it a good deal or no? That's it. Meet yourself, meet your being, taste your own presence. Don't have to move an inch in any direction. Don't have to perceive anything at all. Don't have to experience any feeling. All is allowed to come. All is allowed to go. Yourself remains untouched, unmoved, unresisting of any movement. Nobody has ever said that there is a problem here. Therefore, all problems must just be conceptual. All suffering must depend on the concept of you, not the reality of you. My current favorite sentence is don't make anything a thing. Don't make anything a thing. But only those who've been with me for some time will understand what I'm saying. She said, what's this? Don't make anything a thing. I can't even ask you then, how are you when you're empty? Sometimes I do like that. How is it? Without a story, how are you? Without a notion, how are you? But you know what I mean, isn't it? I know you're good, but do you see that? So now there are two voices which are always available to us. One voice which is saying, which is your own intuitive voice, your own inner presence, saying, don't make anything a thing. And the other voice is the voice of the mind, which is saying, but, I have to make this a thing. But I have to make this a thing. How will I live? How will my family survive? What will they think of me? So these are the things on offer. But I can promise you that those who allow these offers to come and go do not suffer. And those who pick up this offer then pick up the limited notion about themselves. And anytime we pick up a limited notion about ourselves, then suffering arises to rid itself of that limited notion. That's how it works. And it's well documented from time immemorial. I'm not the first one to tell you this. If you go back into the history of spirituality, you go back to the history of Vedanta, it's the same message. Now, what to do with these sticky things? That is the only question left, isn't it? What to do with the stickiest of things? The sages have said, surrender them or inquire who they belong to. Surrender them. Do the fire ceremony, burn it in the holy fire of Satsang. Whatever the stickiest thing might be. Or inquire and say, who? Who is attached to this idea? Simple. It's very simple. It's too simple. But I know that many times these words which sound so simple as they are rising from here, they could be, for those especially new in satsang, they could be, the mind resistance could be strong saying, but this is too abstract. What is he even saying? What does he mean? A little bit of that. Defrosting, as Guruji says, needs to happen. Then you will find that the simplest, most direct way, if we can even call it a way, is just this. It's raining a bit here. I don't know whether all of you can hear it a bit, but it's nice. The sound is not bad. Can't hear. Open this door. We can. Oh, it stopped. Got embarrassed a bit. The rain. So. Okay, maybe we can sit in silence for a bit now. We can actually open the door. Some nice breeze. I have a lot of questions actually, which are piled up for me. So maybe tomorrow we make question day. We look at all of them one by one. Even my Facebook Messenger, lots of questions. Tomorrow we'll turn this a bit. Oh, what will we? I'll tell you. I took it. Let's pick up the whole tripod. Let's pick up the whole tripod and turn. Just move the whole tripod. Oh. So we might even take it closer and see if they can see the view outside.
Is it raining, Father?
Yes, very nice. She'll just show you. I'll just remove the camera. Whatever is easy. Yeah.
Ooh.
Can you guys see it?
Maybe you can see the trees in front of the house.
Huh?
You can see the trees down. Bangalore tourism market.
I'll show the raindrops. Hey, there you go. Your internet connection is unstable.
You trees are dancing. What?
After this, we can show them flooded Bangalore streets.
That is a taste of Bangalore for you. It started coming. So someone new is here. Their name is PS. They say, Dear Father, I don't understand self-inquiry fully and how it leads to truth. I don't understand how yoga and kriyas lead to truth either. I only know devotion to Lord Shiva, and in praying to him, I feel complete and not needing anything. But there is a desire arisen to learn self-inquiry. I am reading I am that, but I know it's not sinking in. For me, Vivekananda, whenever I read him, he moves something within me. Please guide me into this path of self-inquiry so I can go deeper. What is the truth that we are looking for? The truth that we are looking for is the reality of how we are, the reality of who we are, how the world is. If there is a conceptual truth out there, if there is a perceptual truth out there, that means if there's an idea, if I tell you this idea, that is the truth. The truth will not be found like that. If I tell you that there is a visual, you will see, an image you will see, a perception you will find, be it the Virat Roop of the Lord Himself, ultimately even that is not the truth that you are searching for. The truth must be that which is the self, the absolute. And all the clues for your self-inquiry have been provided to you. Whether you read Vivekananda or you read Nisargadatta, all the clues are ultimately the same. What are some of the clues? What is it that remains unchanging? Even if everything else in the world is changing, what is it that remains unchanging? That which is changing is appearance. That which is unchanging is not an appearance. So are you also an appearance? You see? So whether we call this niti niti or we call this the inquiry, we are looking past the layers of that which is changing and coming to that which is the unchanging. Then what are the other clues? What is it that witnesses all this change? Who is the witness or the sakshi of all of this? This is the way to do the self-inquiry. This is the way to do the self-inquiry. So Bhagavan said, when a thought comes to you, ask yourself who witnesses this thought. When an emotion is coming, when a feeling is coming, ask yourself who witnesses this feeling. Don't settle for any mental answer. Don't settle for any feeling. And don't settle for any perception. You are beyond that. I'm sharing all this with you because you said that there is a urge somewhere to learn self-inquiry. Usually somebody said to me that when they are in devotion to Shiva, they feel like they don't need anything. Then I would say to you, don't even pick up any practice, even self-inquiry, because you're naturally surrendering. In your surrender, all is taken care of. This question of mistaken identity, the false I, cannot survive your surrender. So today I don't have so much energy, but little bit insight I've given you. If there is a true longing, yearning arising for self-inquiry, then we can use some of these pointers. And I also request Amaya is already offering to send you some transcripts. You can go through those. But if you're feeling complete in your devotion, in your surrender, then don't have to pick up any new project. It is enough. Thank you all so much for being in Satsang today. Sadhguru Shri Muji Ji ki
Jai. Sadhguru Shri Ananta Ji ki Jai.
Thank you. I'm good actually. I don't know what's happening. Sometimes this body feels like it is just 3 years old, full of energy and things. And sometimes this body feels like it's 500 years old. So just, it's okay. This is the play of the world. It's okay.